Sir Thomas Fowler Buxton, 1st Baronet of Belfield. In 1823, Sir Thomas helped found the British and Foreign Anti-Slavery Society. In the same year, Buxton introduced a resolution into the House of Commons condemning the state of slavery as repugnant to the principles of the British Constitution and of the Christian religion, and called for its gradual abolition throughout the British colonies. He also pressured the government to send dispatches to the colonies to improve the treatment of slaves. Sir William Dolman, 3rd Baronet of Findon. During his long parliamentary career as an independent member of Parliament, he was a fervent advocate for the reform and the abolition of slavery. Sir William took up the abolitionist cause after he chanced to visit a slave ship docked in the port of London. The conditions he found on the ship were so horrified that he resolved at once to work for abolition. Henry Broom, 1st Baron Broom. Henry was a British statesman who became Lord High Chancellor and played a prominent role in passing the 1832 Reform Act and the 1833 Slavery Abolition Act. Olympe de Gouges. Born Marie Gouges, she was the illegitimate daughter of Jean-Jacques Lefranc, the Marquis Pompinin. Marie was a French playwright and political activist whose writings on women's rights and abolitionism reached a large audience in various countries around the world. Unfortunately, she was executed by a guillotine during the Reign of Terror. Geum de Police, 4th Count of Panzuti. Police started a movement against the French slave camps in Guadeloupe, which at the time was a very controversial subject. His religious beliefs caused him to pursue the struggle against slavery, resulting in him drafting the famous French petition of 1486 in favor of abolition. Gilbert du Motier, Marquis de Lafayette. Lafayette was a French aristocrat and military officer who fought in the American Revolution. He joined the French abolitionist group Society of the Friends of the Black, which advocated the end of the slave trade and equal rights for free blacks. He urged the emancipation of slaves and their establishment as tenant farmers in a 1783 letter he wrote to George Washington. Hugh Elliot. Hugh was a British diplomat and colonial governor, the son of Sir Gilbert Elliot and the younger brother of the 1st Earl of Minto. Elliot was a noted abolitionist. Whilst governor of the Leeward Islands, he was reported to be the driving force behind the arrest, trial, and execution of Arthur Hodge for the murder of a slave in the British Virgin Islands. Sir Thomas Andrew Strange. Sir Thomas was a Chief Justice in Nova Scotia, Canada. He was best known for waging judicial war to free black Nova Scotian slaves from their owners. William Murray, the 1st Earl of Mansfield. Born to Scottish nobility, this barrister and politician is perhaps best known for his judgment in the Somerset's case of 1772, a court case where he held that slavery had no basis in common law. Theodore D Corwin Szymanowski. Born into a well-connected Polish noble family, Theodore was able to use his church and family connections to visit France to attend the 1890 Paris Anti-Slavery Conference convened by Cardinal Lavigeri. At the conclusion of the meeting, he produced his famous text, L'esclavage africain, lobbying for an African central bank as a means of combating slavery by enabling the trade in natural resources to replace the trade in human beings, an economic solution to a moral and social evil. James Edward Oglethorpe, Baron Oglethorpe. James was emotionally moved by an intercepted letter from Ayuba Suleiman Diallo, a slave in Maryland, which prompted him to return to England and arrange to have slavery banned in Georgia. Robert Stewart, 2nd Marquis of Londonderry. As Foreign Minister, Robert cooperated with senior officials to use the Royal Navy to detect and capture slave ships. When he was successful, the freed slaves were sent to a new British colony in Sierra Leone. He also used diplomacy to make, search, and seize agreements with all governments involved in the slave trade. Charles Louis de Seconta, Baron Montesquieu. Montesquieu was a French judge, political philosopher, and man of letters. He advocated for the reform of slavery in his book, The Spirit of the Law. As part of his advocacy, he presented a list of arguments against slavery. Sebastio José de Carvalho, 1st Marquis of Pombal. He abolished slavery in Portugal and the Portuguese colonies in India.